Today's question is not one, but two. It is double trouble in the question department, and we are talking all about art in our Quick Tip Tuesday. How do we center art, and what do we do if we have stripes on our walls and we want to keep those stripes and have art too? So let's dive into today's questions. It's Quick Tip Tuesday. You have questions, I have answers, and I am so glad to be answering them for you today. If you have a question that you want answered on the show, pop into my DMs on Instagram at figandfarm. Send me an email at figandfarmathome@gmail.com or join the Facebook group and ask there. bit.ly/design101 group. Let's hop to it. Let's answer your question. And if you find value in this, I'm sure someone else will too. So make sure you share with a friend. Okay, we have double bonus question time today. Both are regarding art, and so we're going to dive into each one separately, but I do want you to pay attention because there are rules of thumb for each one that maybe you're running into. The first question comes from Rachel, and she says, my bed isn't in the center of the wall. Do I put the art centered to the wall or centered over the bed? Now, my question back to Rachel, I don't have a picture here, so my question back to you, Rachel, is why is your bed not centered along the wall? I'm guessing there's something getting in the way of that, and I can think of 3 scenarios where that might be the case. The first scenario is maybe you have a very long wall, and your long wall is long enough that you can place the bed there and 2 side tables and maybe a chair in the corner with a reading lamp. You have a cozy little reading nook, but you might not have enough space to have another reading nook flanking the other side of the bed, making it symmetrical. So that's my first guess, is you would then have your bed off-centered because of the cozy little reading nook in the corner. The other scenario is maybe you have a very small room, and your small room is small enough that you don't have room to have just your bed. Maybe you have your bed and 1 side table, or maybe you have your bed and 2 side tables, but then that wall also has the door or a window, and maybe even 2 windows, or something architectural that is getting in the way of putting your bed where the center of the wall would be. And my third scenario that I'm just picturing in my mind for why your bed isn't centered is that maybe you have kind of a false wall thing going on. Maybe you have an alcove, which is the case in my room. So in my room where my bed is located, the head of my bed, that is the longest point of the wall. And if I were to measure the base of the floor right there from window to door, I would measure a very long length. But there's a jut out, there's an alcove created, a teeny tiny little false wall that I have a little bookshelf on, but then it creates that alcove where my bed is and my side tables, and that edge of the alcove I would treat as the edge of the wall, creating that little area as the center. Now, I don't know, Rachel, why your bed isn't centered, and that is not necessarily the point here. The point is, wherever your bed is, that bed is now the focal point. As much as we may or may not want it to be, it is because of the size of it. So we're going to use that as the foundation for where we're putting our art, and we're going to center our art above the bed. One thing I do want you to consider is this. Sometimes we can choose an inappropriate size for the artwork wherever we want it to be placed. Sometimes we hang it too high, too low, too off-center, or what have you. But one thing I want you to keep in mind is size proportion to the thing that the art is sitting above. In this case, it is the bed. But I know that sometimes we can place art above mantles, we can place it above credenzas, entryway tables, we can place it above bookshelves, we can place it above couches. Whatever the width of that piece of furniture is that the artwork is sitting above, I want you to measure that, and then I want you to take 2/3 to 3/4 of that measurement, and that should be about how wide your artwork is. No more than 2/3 to 3/4. So in the case of you, Rachel, and your bed, I'm imagining a standard queen size mattress, which would be about 60 inches. 2/3 of that would be about 40 inches. So I know that my artwork should be about 40 inches wide. Now I say about because you can fudge with 39 inches, you can fudge with 38 inches, and you can fudge with 42 inch art. So I do want you to keep it doesn't have to be exact, but I do want you to keep that in mind. The bigger it is, the more jarring it's going to feel. It's going to feel a little like something is not quite right. And the smaller it is, it might feel like something is not quite right. Now keep that standard measurement in mind, 2/3 to 3/4, in mind when you're creating a gallery wall too. So Rachel, if you had a gallery wall, for example, we would say make sure that your gallery wall in total didn't measure over about 40 inches. So keep that standard measurement in mind. And again, you will want to use that when you're measuring for artwork, for anything else, mantles, tables, couches, anything that your art is going to be sitting above. And of course, one quick rule of thumb, if you are not shopping for art from home, where you can quickly go up and measure the piece of furniture that your artwork will be placed above, make sure you take the measurement before you go so that you aren't left wondering if you're making the right choice or not. Okay, the second question comes from Rebecca, and she says, what is the rule for adding wall art to a wall with a stripe or stripes? Fantastic. And Rebecca, I don't know that there's really a rule, but I know what my eye will say when I see artwork on a wall with stripes. Now, I don't know which way your stripes are going. Are they going vertically or horizontally? In my home, I have stripes going horizontally, and they've been there for a while. So I'm at the point where I think I'm about ready to change those up a little bit. But in the meantime, I have wall art on my horizontal stripes, and I've placed my art above or below, whichever way you want to look at it, either one of those stripes. Now, I'm doing that because I don't want to create the illusion that the stripe is the thing that is anchoring it to the wall. I want to have my artwork pop, and I want it to sit out and above the stripe. And even if you depending on how solid your stripes are or how wide your stripes are, think about having your artwork centered above the width of the stripe. I would say that the same, and I'm air quoting rule here, it would be the same for vertically, that you would want to have your artwork not lined up exactly so that the edge of the artwork aligns with the edge of the vertical stripe. I think for me, the way that my eye would read that would be a little bit jarring. And I wouldn't want any edge of the artwork being either along the horizontal or the vertical stripe. So adjusting that, that's going to be dependent on the size of your art as well as the size of your stripe. So play with that, Rebecca, and adjust that accordingly and see what feels right from different distances. See what feels like it is a good combination of sitting atop a stripe and not against the edge of the stripe. Okay, I hope that's helpful. And if you have a question that you want answered on the show, I want you to send it away. Feel free, be brave, and send your question. And double bonus points if you send a picture too. Sometimes those pictures are really enlightening. They allow information, just like in these two examples where I'm making a guess why the bed is not centered along the wall. I'm making a guess and making my best guess as the answer to it. Same thing with the stripes. I'm not entirely sure, but I sure would love to be able to give you a specific answer to your specific question. So, how can I serve you? Ask that question, and you can email me, you can join the Facebook group, or you can post it in my DMs on Instagram. All of those places will be linked in my show notes, and I can't wait to hear from you. Until next time, I hope you're all well. Hey, real quick before you go, if you learned something new or found value in today's podcast, would you head over to iTunes to figandfarmathome and leave a review and subscribe to the show? That would be awesome. And if you'd like to connect with my community of mamas who are learning to be intentional storytellers within their own homes, join us at bit.ly/design101 group. There's always more room at the table. See you soon.